Umoba was known for its abundant beauty, not in the fields or in the forests, but in its women. My dear viewers, thank you for joining me today while I tell you a story where the sun kissed the earth with crafted beautiful creatures of Eve and a beautiful woman that denied herself of happiness just because of jealousy. Umoba village had many maidens, each more beautiful than the other. However, the village had fewer men. This imbalance had shaped a unique way of life for centuries. The elders in their wisdom had made a law. The men of Umoba were free to marry as many wives as they could care for. It was said that the ancestors had blessed the village with so many beautiful maidens, so that no man would be lonely and no woman would remain without a family. Amadi was one of the most respected young men in the village. Although many men took multiple wives to show their wealth and their strength, Amadi had only ever married one woman named Nneka. Their love was the most talked about in the village. Amadi was a school teacher and he owned a motorbike that he used to travel to the nearby school where he taught students. Every morning, the sound of his motorbike could be heard as he left for work, and in the evening, he could return with a smile on his face, eager to see his beloved wife, Nneka. Nneka, on the other hand, was a hard-working woman. She did some petty business during the day, selling small items like vegetables and fruits in the village market. But in the evenings, she had a special way of making extra money. Every evening, Nneka would set up a small stand in front of their house and roast corn. The smell of the roasting corn would fill the air, and the villagers would stop by to buy from her. Nneka's roasted corn was the best in the village, and the people came from all over just to test the corn. Though Nneka worked hard, she was never alone in her business. Amadi, even after a long day of teaching, would help her out. During the harvest season, Amadi would join her in the fields, helping her pick the fresh corn. They would laugh and talk as they worked together, their love shining like the afternoon sun. In the evenings, when Nneka set up her roasting stand, Amadi was always by her side. He would help her attend to customers, turning the corn over the fire and making sure the customers were satisfied. Villagers often joked that Amadi was the only man who could roast corn with his wife. They worked together as a team, and their love for each other was clear in everything they did. People in the village admired them. "Look at Amadi and Nneka," they would say. "Their love is so strong. You can see it in the way they work together and how they always support each other." But despite all the admirations, Nneka had a secret fear. She knew that in their village, it was common for men to take more than one wife. Some men had 3 or 4 wives, but Nneka could not bear the thought of sharing Amadi with anyone else. She loved him with all her heart, and she wanted to be the only queen in his life. Amadi, being a good husband, always reassured her, "Nneka, my love, you are all I need. I don't want another wife. You are my queen, and no one can take your place." Though his words comforted her, Nneka was always on guard. She saw how some women in the village looked at Amadi. He was a handsome man, kind and hardworking, and Nneka knew that there were some who would gladly become his second wife if given the chance. One evening, as they were roasting corn together, Nneka voiced her fears. "Amadi, I know you love me, but I don't want any other woman to come between us, and I don't want to share you with anyone." Amadi smiled and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are my one and only, Nneka. I don't need anyone else. Our love is enough." Nneka nodded, but deep inside her, jealousy was strong. She wanted to protect their love at all costs. She couldn't imagine a life where another woman would come into their home and share the love she had with Amadi. Despite her fears, their love remained strong, and they continued to be the most admired couple in the village. Amadi and Nneka were a perfect example of true partnership. They worked together, supported each other, and above all, their love for each other never faded. To Nneka, that was the most important thing in her life, being the only woman in Amadi's heart, his one and only queen. But as time passed, Amadi began to feel the weight of tradition pressing on him. Elders and friends whispered to him, urging him to take more wives. It is your duty, they would say. There are many beautiful maidens in need of a home. You are young and strong. Why not take another wife? The pressure from the village elders grew stronger. They began to whisper in Amadi's ear, reminding him of his duty. You are a strong man, Amadi. It is your responsibility to marry more wives and give the beautiful maidens a home. They will say, the God has blessed us with beautiful women. Do not waste their blessings. Amadi always brushed them off, but Nneka noticed the whispers and the looks from the village beautiful maidens. She saw how some of the young women admired Amadi, their eyes lingering on him whenever he passed. Her jealousy grew with every passing day, and she became more protective of her husband. One evening, after a long day in the fields, Nneka confronted her husband. I see the way they look at you, those maidens. I hear the elders pushing you to take another wife. Tell me, Amadi, will you betray me? Will you follow their words and break my heart? Amadi, taken aback by the sharpness in her voice, took her hands and said, Nneka, you're my first love, my one and only. I have no desire to take another wife. The village may have its traditions, but I will not be swayed by them. You are all I need. Though his words suited her for a time, Nneka could not silence the fear in her heart. She knew the village tradition was so strong, and she knew that there were other maidens who would gladly marry Amadi if given the chance. She began to take matters into her own hands. Nneka became more watchful, keeping an eye on the young maiden who lingered around her house. She worked harder than ever to please Amadi, cooking his favorite meals and dressing in her finest clothes to remind him of her beauty. But no matter what she did, her jealousy continued to grow. One day, a young senior student in Amadi's school named Adora came to their house seeking for Amadi's help in mathematics. Adora was known for her beauty, with long dark hair and a graceful figure. She smiled warmly at Amadi as he taught her in their sitting room. But Nneka saw something more in that smile, a hidden desire. Her heart raced with anger. As soon as Adora left, Nneka turned to Amadi, her voice sharp. That girl, Adora, I see how she looks at you. She wants to steal you from me. I know it. You must stay away from her. Amadi looked at her, disappointed, and he said, Nneka, you are imagining things. Adora is just a villager seeking for help in her studies. I have no interest in her or anyone else. But Nneka would not be calm. She was determined to keep Amadi for herself, no matter the cost. Next week, as Amadi went to school, Nneka visited a local healer in another village, a man known for her knowledge of herbs and charms. Desperate, Nneka asked the healer for something to ensure that Amadi would never desire another woman. The healer looked at Nneka with pity. Are you sure this is the path you want to take? Love cannot be forced. Nneka, if Amadi truly loves you, there is no need for this. But Nneka's jealousy was too strong. I will do whatever it takes. I cannot bear to lose him for another woman, she said. The healer, seeing Nneka's desperation, warned her, love cannot be forced. What I will give to you is powerful, and it must be used carefully. Just add a little of this into his food every day. It will keep his heart close to yours. But if you use too much, there will be consequences. Nneka, blinded by jealousy, agreed and took the charm. She thought only of how much she loved Amadi and how she wanted him to remain hers alone. That night, Nneka cooked Amadi's favorite meal. As she prepared it, she remembered the healer's warning, but fear whispered in her heart and jealousy as well. What if a small wasn't enough? Ignoring the warning, Nneka added more than a small of the charm into his food, hoping to secure his love forever. For days, Amadi ate the meals she prepared, and at first, nothing seemed wrong. But soon, Amadi began to feel weak. He complained of headache, and his once strong body seemed to fade. Nneka, worried, but still driven by her jealousy, continued to add the charm to his food, thinking it was only making him love her more. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Amadi collapsed. His breath grew shallow, and despite Nneka's cries for help, he passed away in her arms. The village was devastated. No one suspected Nneka because everyone knew how much she loved him. They believed his death was caused by an unknown illness. Nneka's sorrow turned to anger. She blamed the healer for Amadi's death. She believed that the charm was what killed her husband. In her grief and rage, she returned to the healer's hut. "You told me the charm would make him love me. I never asked you to kill my husband," Nneka cried, tears streaming down her face. The healer, calm and steady, looked at her and said, "I warned you. I told you to use only a little. Love is delicate and must be handled with care. It was your jealousy that drove you to use more than what was needed. You gave him more than his heart could bear." Nneka, hearing those words, fell on her knees, her heart heavy with the truth. In her quest to keep Amadi to herself, she had lost him forever. The very love she wanted to protect had led her to take his life. Now she was left alone, her husband gone, and her heart filled with regrets. No one in the village ever knew what really happened, but Nneka would carry the weight of her actions for the rest of her life. She had sought to keep Amadi's love forever, but now she was left with nothing but the memories of the man she had loved so deeply. This is the end of our story. Thank you, my dear viewers, for coming with me this far. Please do well to subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories. Thank you so much. Bye.